Hello everyone and welcome to the Secret Math Twins YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Minitab, which is a statistical software that you can use for data analysis. And I found it to be pretty useful and pretty cool. So I'm going to show you guys a quick intro of this software. To get Minitab, you actually have to pay money for it, but you can access it via a 14-day free trial. And you can get this free trial by obviously searching it up and navigating to this page, the Minitab website. All you have to do is put your information here, fill out all these different parts right here and say start your free trial, and you're going to get sent an email where you get verified and you can install from here. If you're on Windows, you actually can access Minitab via a desktop app, but if you're a Mac user like I am, you have to use Minitab on the web, which is not a bad alternative, as you'll see very shortly. So since I already have it installed, I'm going to navigate over to Minitab. And on this homepage here, you have a bunch of different stuff that you can do here. You got analytics, brainstorm, data prep, dashboard, etc. For data analysis, you're going to be doing 99% of your work in here, but I will show what the data prep can be used for. So let's go over to analytics and let everything load in. Just a quick overview of this page. So the data in here is very similar to what Excel looks like. So you have the columns here, C1, C2, C3, so on and so forth. And then the rows. Right here is where you can put the title of the columns that you're going to be using, which I think is a really cool feature of this. You can actually input your own data into here, but we're going to be using health exam for this. So let's actually open up right here, open up a local file, and we're going to use the health exam data set, which is the GOAT data set of statistics. When you upload a data set into Minitab, you have the option to clean and transform. This is a really cool feature. I feel like you can see what the data is going to look like when you bring it in. And this, mentioned earlier, most of it's going to be done in the analytics page, but this is the data panel page where you can clean the data before you bring it in. So you can see what the data is going to look like. So gender is text and everything else is numeric, which is indicated by the pound symbol. Let's say you only wanted to look at females in this data set, and you can do that by navigating to this column, going to filter rows, and then right here it says gender equals female. You press OK, and it'll go ahead and clean that up for you where you only have females in this data set. Let's say you want to manipulate the data set further by importing it where it shows the age descending, and you can do that by navigating here, doing the drop down sort descending. And as you can see, you have the age going downward. But when we bring this data set in, we want to have the data set as it is. So, and just a quick side note, when you clean up the data, it'll show all the steps that you have taken at this point to get the data set to where it is now. But we're going to X these out, and it's a really simple process to do that. So we have the data set as it was normally when we imported it. So we'll save and load, and that brings it into this main tab. So now, since we're here, let's talk about how to view the data. So you have the option to look at data and output only. Let's go back to data and output. And here we have this ribbon where you have data, which you can actually, it allows you to further manipulate the data if you want to delete columns or edit rows. I want to show you guys a cool thing. You can recode the data, and in this data set, you have a column called age bracket where 1 corresponds to young, 2 corresponds to middle-aged, and 3 corresponds to old. So we could actually add a new column in by bringing in age bracket, doing the method recode individual values, and we can actually say 1 corresponds to young, 2 corresponds to middle, and 3 corresponds to old, which is very similar. Actually, if you remember SPSS, you could do a similar feature. So when you do this, it creates a new column. It appends a new column at the end of the data set, and you can see that it corresponds each of these age brackets to a text value. That's just a cool feature I wanted to show. Let's X this out since it's not really that important. We can do a variety of things here. You can use calc to do mathematical operations on the data. But the more interesting stuff, in my opinion, is going to be found in this stat tab. So let's go to stats, and we can do basic statistics. And let's get descriptive statistics for height, weight, systolic blood pressure, and cholesterol. And we can filter this by variable. And Minitab makes it very easy to do all of this. Now, if we want to include more information, you can see what's going to get outputted right here. And let's say we want to include the IQR. So we'll check that box, press OK. And let's say we want to create a box plot of the corresponding data. We can do that here. You can also do histograms and individual value plots. We'll press OK and get the data. So we're going to press output only just to see the data a bit better. And as you can see here, we have a nice table showing all the relevant data statistics that we were looking for. Another really cool feature, since I clicked the box for box plots, you can actually visually see each of the descriptive statistics and filtering it by gender. So you can see on a visual level how they compare. Something I wanted to bring up is that you have this navigator tab here, which shows all of the outputs that you have before, and you can navigate to them really easily. So you can navigate to these tabs and it'll pop up along here. And as you populate the navigator tab, that becomes very important to see everything that you've done so far. I've shown how you can create a visual analysis, and we can expand upon this by going to the graph tab here. And let's, for example, there's a lot of different options, and let's make a histogram. So we can do a histogram, do simple, and let's make a histogram of body mass. So it's very simple, press OK. And it creates a histogram of body mass. And as you can see, it populates on the left side of the navigator tab. Let's also create a scatter plot. So let's navigate to the graph tab once again, go to scatter plot, and we'll do simple and do systolic blood pressure as the Y variable and the X variable as age to see what sort of relationship there might be. And let's actually navigate to the options and fit a linear regression line just to see the potential relationship better. As you can see here, we have a nice scatter plot output and a linear regression line that is fitted to it. I'm going to give a quick demonstration of the statistical procedures that you can do here. First, I'll be showing how to do a 2-sample t-test. So you go to the stats tab, go to basic stats, and we'll do a 2-sample t-test. And we're going to be seeing if there's a difference of systolic blood pressure by gender. So for samples, we'll say systolic blood pressure, sample ID, we'll do gender, and press OK. And then it gives you a really nice rundown of all the information you could really want to know about this. It makes it very easy for interpretation. And as you can see here, we look at this p-value and it's lower than 0.05, meaning that there is a statistically significant difference in systolic blood pressure by gender. On a similar note, if we want to look at it in a ANOVA table, we go to stats and then ANOVA, and you have a lot of different options here. We're going to do one way to see if the means of systolic blood pressure differ by age bracket. So for the response, once again, we'll do systolic blood pressure, and for the factor, we'll do age bracket. For comparisons, we're going to navigate to that tab, and we want to do a Tukey comparison to see which of the groups actually differ if they differ in the first place. We'll press OK here. And if we want to add a box plot of the data, for example, we can do that as well. As you can see, there is a lot of different options to customize to your liking. So we'll press OK. And now we have another nice layout of what the process is and what you're looking for. It shows you the null and alternative, shows you the ANOVA table here, the model summary, the different means by group. And I really like this output here. It says if an interval does not contain 0, the corresponding means are significantly different, and it visualizes that here so you can see the most statistically significant differences between age group 3 and age group 1. And that's pretty cool. And you have box plots here and an interval plot. So that's just a quick intro to the statistical side of Minitab, and I will be showing some more advanced procedures in the next video.